A Wimbledon champion just had her career ripped away from her. Not for cheating, not for doping, but for saying no when she was terrified. Marketa Vondrousova is banned from professional tennis for 4 years. For years, her crime, refusing to give blood and urine samples to doping control officers who showed up at her home at night. The ban keeps her off the court until she turns 31 years old, and in tennis years, that amounts to a death sentence. The tennis world is exploding over it. On June 23, 2026, Australian star Ajla Tomljanovic posted 5 words that lit the sport on fire. "This is a disgrace," end quote. She directed that Vondrousova's 4-year ban, which the International Tennis Integrity Agency announced just 1 day earlier. The same organization built to protect players just destroyed one. This goes far beyond another doping case. Vondrousova survived real trauma when she watched her friend and compatriot Petra Kvitova nearly die from a brutal knife attack, and she developed documented anxiety disorder because of it. She begged the system to understand her mental health struggles, and the system looked at all of it and said, "We don't care." The ban stretches until June 21, 2030, when Vondrousova will be 31 years old. Most players retire in their early 30s, which turns this ban into a career execution. And she never even tested positive for anything. Let's go back to where this nightmare started. December 3, 2025, 8 p.m. Vondrousova is at her home in the Czech Republic during a dark winter evening, trying to enjoy a quiet night. Then the doorbell rings. 2 doping control officers are standing outside, and they're not paying a friendly visit. They've arrived to collect blood and urine samples immediately, with no warning and no preparation. Just a flat demand to submit to invasive testing procedures inside her own home. That's how the system operates. Random unannounced testing remains standard practice in professional tennis, where players can face collectors anywhere and anytime, whether at tournaments, training facilities, or their own kitchens. The element of surprise is designed to catch cheaters, but it also terrorizes innocent players who battle anxiety on a daily basis. Vondrousova panicked. She told the officers no and refused to provide the samples without thinking about what would come next. She wasn't plotting some elaborate scheme to hide banned substances from anyone. She was spiraling through an anxiety attack triggered by unexpected strangers demanding access to her body. The officers documented the refusal and walked away. The wheels of tennis justice started turning after that, and Vondrousova's life began falling apart piece by piece. But here's what the International Tennis Integrity Agency and the Independent Tribunal don't want you to understand. Marketa Vondrousova isn't another tennis player hiding behind a convenient excuse. She's someone who lived through genuine trauma that left permanent psychological scars, and the evidence backs every word of that up. December 17, 2016. Prostějov, Czech Republic. An intruder with a knife attacks Petra Kvitova, one of the greatest Czech tennis players of all time, and a 2-time Wimbledon champion, right inside her home. He shows up to rob her, and when she tries to defend herself, he slashes her playing hand so badly that tendons and nerves are severed. Blood is everywhere, and Kvitova believes her career is finished. She thinks she might die. The attack sent shockwaves rippling through Czech tennis because Kvitova is a national hero, a role model, and a friend to many players, including a young Marketa Vondrousova. The entire Czech tennis community carried the weight of that horror for years. Vondrousova turned 20 years old during the year Kvitova was attacked. She was a rising star just launching her professional career, and she watched one of her idols nearly lose everything to random violence inside her own home. The one place that's supposed to feel safe suddenly didn't. That kind of trauma doesn't just vanish. It rewires how you see the world, fills you with dread about unexpected intrusions, and sends you into full panic when strangers appear at your door without warning. Vondrousova developed anxiety disorder, and not a mild case she could push through with positive thinking. Doctors diagnosed and documented the condition thoroughly. She provided medical records and testimony from mental health professionals, explaining how the attack embedded lasting fear about home invasions and unexpected confrontations. The tribunal reviewed all that evidence. They didn't care. The hearing took place in early 2026, where Vondrousova and her legal team presented everything they could assemble. Medical documentation of her anxiety disorder sat alongside expert testimony about trauma responses and detailed explanations of how the stabbing damage checked tennis players psychologically. They constructed a clear timeline proving her refusal wasn't premeditated or calculated, but rather a panic response to an anxiety trigger firing in real time. They begged the tribunal to see Vondrousova as a human being instead of a case number and to recognize that mental health struggles deserve weight when judging a player's actions. The International Tennis Integrity Agency refused to give an inch. Their argument boiled down to one position. Refusing a doping test is refusing a doping test, period, with no exceptions, no context, and no humanity. Just cold adherence to rules drafted by people who've never experienced a panic attack in their lives. And the independent tribunal sided with them. On June 22, 2026, they handed down their decision. 4 years, the maximum ban for a doping refusal, with no reduction for mental health circumstances, no acknowledgement of trauma, and no mercy at all. Vondrousova's career ended right there. And that's when the real outrage ignited, because here's what makes this ban completely indefensible and what Ajla Tomljanovic and dozens of other players are furious about. The inequality is staggering. Simona Halep tested positive for a banned substance at the 2022 US Open, meaning an actual prohibited compound showed up in her body. She received 4 years at first, but after appeals and legal battles, her ban shrank to 9 months, and she served less than a year. Tara Moore tested positive for nandrolone and boldenone, 2 anabolic steroids that qualify as genuine performance-enhancing drugs. She earned a provisional suspension, challenged it, and authorities eventually lifted the ban after she claimed contamination. She's competing again right now, so consider the comparison. Simona Halep's ban after all appeals landed at 9 months for an actual positive test, while Marketa Vondrousova's ban sits at 4 years for refusing a test. During a panic attack, Marin Cilic tested positive for nicothamide, a stimulant that counts as a banned substance and was actually circulating in his body. He received 9 months after the tribunal accepted his contamination defense and trimmed the original penalty. Maria Sharapova tested positive for meldonium, another banned substance confirmed in her system. She served 15 months total, not 4 years, and she returned to the tour long before. Vondrousova will even come close to stepping on a court again. Let's lay this out plainly. Players who carried banned substances in their bodies, who committed verified doping violations, who potentially gained real performance advantages, all received shorter bans than Marketa Vondrousova. She never tested positive for a single thing and refused one test during a mental health crisis the system gave her. For years, the message rings loud and clear. If you cheat, if you actually dope, you can fight the system and negotiate your ban down to something survivable. But if you struggle with mental health, if you carry trauma, if you panic when strangers show up at your door demanding blood, you absorb the maximum penalty with zero mercy. That's what Ajla Tomljanovic called a disgrace. She's absolutely right. The day after the ban dropped, the WTA tour erupted. Tomljanovic's 5-word statement, "This is a disgrace," spread like wildfire as players began speaking out, not just backing Vondrousova, but voicing fear for themselves. Because here's what this ban actually signals to every player on tour. It tells them mental health doesn't matter, that trauma doesn't matter, that anxiety disorders don't matter. If you're struggling psychologically and you slip up during a moment of panic, the system will crush you without hesitation. Players living with anxiety are terrified. Right now, players battling depression feel the same way, and players managing PTSD share that exact fear because they all just learned that mental health conditions carry no weight as legitimate defenses. The system treats them as excuses to be swatted away. Vondrousova captured the Wimbledon title in 2023 when she stood on top of the tennis world after beating Ons Jabeur in the final. She became a Grand Slam champion and achieved every tennis player's dream. 3 years later, all of it is gone. Not because she lost her talent or suffered a career-ending injury or chose to walk away. Her career ended because the International Tennis Integrity Agency and an independent tribunal decided That mental health trauma from watching a friend nearly bleed to death wasn't reason enough to panic when strangers demanded bodily samples at night. Sit with that for a second. A Wimbledon champion's career is finished at 27 years old because she experienced a documented mental health crisis, and the system showed zero compassion in response. The independent tribunal released their full decision document, page after page of cold, clinical, detached legal language. They acknowledged Vondrousova's mental health evidence. They acknowledged the trauma connection. They acknowledged her anxiety disorder diagnosis, and then they declared none of it changed the outcome. Rules are rules, they wrote, and refusing a test constitutes an anti-doping violation regardless of the circumstances, carrying a 4-year penalty they deemed appropriate. No weight given to intent. No consideration of her mental state. No distinction drawn between a calculated refusal to conceal doping and a panic response triggered by documented trauma. Just rigid, mechanical application of punishment. The ITIA released a statement defending the ban by arguing that the anti-doping program depends on player cooperation, and that refusing tests undermines the integrity of the sport. They insisted they enforce the rules equally for everyone. But here's the thing, they're not enforcing equally, and that's the entire point. Players who actually doped walked away with shorter bans, and players who actually cheated received more leniency, while a player who panicked during a mental health crisis absorbed the maximum sentence. Other players are starting to come forward with their own stories now. Anonymous testimonials keep surfacing online from players describing their struggles with anxiety around doping tests, recounting panic attacks when testers arrive unannounced, and admitting they've lived in terror of making the same mistake Vondrousova did. One anonymous WTA player told a tennis journalist that she's endured multiple anxiety attacks during testing procedures but forced herself to comply because she feared this exact scenario playing out. Quote, "I've cried through blood draws. I've had full panic attacks while trying to provide urine samples with someone watching. But I did it because I knew saying no meant my career was over." Marketa said no once, and they killed her career. That could be any of us. End quote. This is the reality the ITIA and the tribunal built. A system where players with mental health struggles must endure psychological torture or lose everything they've worked for. A system where trauma survivors relive their worst moments during invasive testing procedures or face career-ending bans. A system that prizes its own rules above the human beings those rules are supposed to protect. The ban cannot shrink on appeal. 4 years stands as 4 years. Vondrousova will turn 31 before she's eligible to return in June 2030, by which point her prime years will be gone. Her career trajectory will be shattered, and her Wimbledon championship will be remembered not for her brilliant tennis, but as a footnote attached to her ban, and all of it serves no purpose beyond telling every player that mental health doesn't count, that the anti-doping system matters more than the athletes it claims to serve, and that trauma and anxiety are just convenient excuses to be steamrolled by bureaucratic machinery. This is where professional tennis stands. In 2026, a Wimbledon champion is banned for 4 years over a mental health crisis, while players who actually doped received lighter penalties. The organization charged with protecting tennis integrity just revealed to the world that it possesses none of its own. The system is rigged. The system is broken. And Marketa Vondrousova's career is over. Ajla Tomljanovic was right. This is a disgrace.